Welcome back to the Moana Waterpark series. My name is Swix, and today we're transforming an empty lot into the ultimate wave pool experience. Completed with a themed beach, a Moana-inspired bar, restrooms, custom speakers, and more. So let's dive in and bring this tropical paradise to life. Okay, so before we start, it's always good to just check on Pinterest, for example, for some inspiration when it comes to your build that you are going to do. So in this case, I am just gonna search for wave pool. I kind of have a hunch on like a little vision on how I see it, but just to be certain, I kind of like just go in and click and see what I can find. And this is kind of like the things that I can see and find here, all these pictures you see coming up on the screen. So let's be real here and let's just face it that this is kind of like the concept that a wave pool kind of looks like. So let's go in and try kind of like make this work by adding our own kind of customization to it and also some theming that are Polynesian and Moana inspired. Let's get into the building perspective of this video. As you can see here, and as you have been seen in the background, I kind of prepared it a little bit here by using the stamp builder to kind of like fill in all the gaps in between. But to get the shape that I'm going for, as you can see, I used the draw tool to kind of like draw a perfect curved line that's kind of like go from A to B in these sort of corners here. And I gotta say, there was some struggle on the way, obviously. I feel like the more I play this game, the more I do struggle with it, but I still am having fun with it nevertheless. So, but yeah, I'm kind of like getting into the shape as we saw on the pictures here, because that is clearly the concept that these wave pools are having, that they're kind of like wide on the front where the wave pool kind of starts, and then it slowly like becomes wider and wider towards the beach that we're kind of like doing here. Today we're doing also Moana Beach, and we're doing a beach bar, and we're also doing some toilets and a nice place for all of these people to hang around. So after I kind of like did the shaping, it took some time. It was a lot of trial and errors, by the way. But we finally managed to kind of like get it through. I did cut out a few things and just kept on the more important parts. But yeah, to get this sort of shape, you kind of like have to use the draw tool. Maybe do it a few times to perfect it. But it can be a little bit of a struggle, but you can kind of like get through it if you just kind of like are patient and kind of like get through the pain part of kind of like this. So as you can see, what I'm doing next now is that I am kind of like doing the edge type infinity, and then I'm doing depth. First I did kind of like the wadding kind of part here, which is kind of like the second part of when you kind of like step into the wave pool. I kind of like made it like a little layer, so like the further you go towards, the deeper it gets, kind of like you see in a real wave pool situation here. And this also took kind of like some trial and errors to do as well, guys. So don't kind of like expect it to like get it perfect the first go. So just keep that in mind. As you can see, it's not 100% as I wanted it to be, but I kind of like felt like now at least all of them kind of like have this slight slope that goes down, so no one like breaks a leg here or something like that, you know, which it's kind of nice, you know. So after we kind of like get this done, I'm doing the theming, and this theming I'm doing today is pretty wide compared to like the other themes that I've done. I basically tried something first. I didn't like it, so I deleted it. That's also kind of like why you see there's like two huts here on left and right, and I already have this sort of rock wall that is going to be our facade kind of like background drop for the wave pool. But this is a Tala's tide. I thought that was kind of like perfect for this, since she controls like a lot of the tides and she swims in the water and all that stuff. So I felt like it was kind of perfect to have that called here. So this is Tala tides at Moana Beach. But yeah, we're kind of like playing around with a little bit with the theming here, as you can see, and I'm trying to figure out which way I should go, because I changed my mind a lot throughout this build here. So the theming kind of like is just very impulsive, and it's kind of like just what I feel like works best. And in this case, this was kind of like the the best result I could kind of like get out of it, you know. So it kind of works very well here, and especially when we can use all these coral pieces and etc. to really make this pop up. So yeah, I'm super happy for how this turned out so far. And as you can see, I use some of the sails to kind of like backdrop it a bit, use a lot of corals and all these sort of small little things to kind of like make it pop as well. So we did this little board kind of thing here where I thought that was kind of cool. So I added these ropes, and I also do that on the other side. I had to cut out a lot of things. So when you see me do one thing, it's kind of automatically just there on the other side if I say it. So yeah, I wanted to keep in more the more fun part of these of this video today as well. So but this is also kind of like how you proceed in like sort of this sort of build. And as you saw on these pictures I posted, if you go in and you search, you can get lots of ideas. And in my case, I took a lot of ideas from all of these pictures and kind of like throw it in one concept. Like I'm adding like tons of like flower beds, more a little bit of a plain, more clean look into it as well, while adding a lot of these Moana fantasy-esque sort of concept and themes around this whole wave pool here. I was also thinking, am I making it a little bit too big? Am I making all these things too big in this park? But maybe I am. But you know what? If you can kind of like theme it and make it look nice so it doesn't look like super massive, I think you're on the right track, and I think you've done a good job so far. But yeah, we're doing this rock wall here. These pieces are incredible. As I say, I use them all the time. It's the Viking rock pieces. But if you kind of like mulch them together, you can kind of like get this super nice, almost custom-made wall that is kind of like the backdrop to this here as well. So my whole point here, with the theming, is that on each side of the wave pool here is supposedly a little scenery kind of tribute to the movie in a way. Here we are making like a little, you know, like a beach sort of vibe here with like a little kind of like ramp with some other theming that I'm adding in. We're adding a little bamboo hut to kind of like stand in. And all this is just kind of like to fill in some gaps here, and also just to make it a little bit more in the Disney-esque theme-wise. Like I feel like that we can definitely pop in a lot more stuff in this sort of situation, in this sort of build, because it has a lot of potential to have a lot of theming, but I don't feel like it necessarily have a lot when you see them in like different theme parks and stuff. So in my case, I wanted to do like a very heavily themed water park with the Moana theme, and I feel like that I had to improvise a little bit sometimes too with like housing and also the Polynesian kind of theme. So it's not everything that I'm built here that is like something that is in Moana, but it's definitely in the Polynesian type of style, you know. And as you can see here, now we are completely filled it all with sand with the terrain, and then we have like building this little flower bed that I am adding in some dirt. I started using the kind of like dirt piece from the flower section, but I was like, you know what, it's just too much hassle, so I'm just gonna color it with the dirt terrain, and it kind of like works, because especially after you add in all the plants and stuff, it really pops up and does the job. So here's a little bit of a realistic approach I'm adding towards the side here, so no guests can hop up here. Maybe in real life you would be able to, but in this case I'm kind of like keeping this very clean and kind of like adding in a ventilation system, well, like more like a grid for the water that kind of like comes above on the sides here, and kind of like we need something for that to kind of like fall down to the kind of like water facility systems that they are underneath the pool here. So yeah, I'm thinking about a lot of things I'm adding into this situation here, and even though it's like I'm trying to add in a lot of realistic approaches, how you would kind of see things in a real theme park or in a water park in that sense, you know, and I think I ran away with it pretty good, honestly. And as you can see here as well, we're building something on the other side here too. I'm building like this little like shipwreck that is kind of like stranded on a little rock here, and then I'm adding like a little bit of coral pieces and stuff and some water elements and features, and I think it actually works pretty well here, to be fair. So yeah, I think it's really good, and I'm pretty happy for how this looks as well. But I also cut out a little bit of this stuff too, so you don't have to see all of it. But the main part is that I'm kind of like just adjusting with the flow and how I'm going, like on adding different things, and then at the end we'll just have a full scenic beach vibe that could honestly be something that could be straight out from a Moana, I feel like, as well. But there's still tons of stuff that I will build that still represents the movies, so do not worry, we will get through all that stuff as well. But yeah, some core pieces, and then we're kind of like moving over to something a little bit different towards this build as well. So I will show you guys how everything looks afterwards, but here, if you go into the pool extras in the pool tab, you find the wave machine here, and I'm using the 16 meter because it is the biggest one, or the largest I should say. And if you place it kind of like at the bottom here at the end of the wave pool, it kind of like pops up as a little blue color here, and then it actually just automatically works its way and kind of like starting to do waves. So it's pretty simple, and yeah, now we have a wave pool in Moana Waterpark. But we are not finished, not at all. We are moving towards another fun build here, and I actually was super inspired by kind of like the Polynesian kind of architecture here, and also wanted to add my own little go on like my clutter and all that stuff. So that's what I'm doing today. We're building like a little bar here, and it's the Moana beach bar, and I am playing around with a lot of different pieces here until I kind of like find my way through what I kind of like want to do with this build. And I kind of like started just to add a few things and some ropes and trying to connect all these things together, and you know, one thing took another, and I was in a groove, and I kind of like got this super cool build started here with that was going to be the Moana beach bar. But as you can see here, I only have like a small part of the roof, but as you can see, this piece is a grid piece. So what I'm basically doing right now is that I'm using this grid to build with. So every time I want to move and duplicate this build, it will take the whole build with it on the grid and place it accurately, which is a very cool method to kind of like use in your building techniques. And I can only recommend you doing the same if you do not want to constantly build the same thing over and over again, if you're building something similar to this. So it's a very cool way of doing that. So we're gonna skip over to that part right now, and then we're gonna look into it afterwards on how I'm kind of like have used pieces and what I have done to kind of like get to this sort of little shaping here. And we're skipping over to here. As you can see, I added a little bar and stuff, and then afterwards I am completely taking this little thing here, duplicating the grid, and as you can see, as I go along in this little circle, everything kind of like goes with it. So I have the identical side on each grid here that kind of like moves with it, and it's such a help sometimes, and it like you save a lot of time on this. So I can highly recommend you trying to add this into your building techniques if you're trying to do something similar to this. But yeah, I know we did a big skip here, but as you can see, I'm kind of like trying to make it feel like it's like a little bit of a beach vibe. As you can see, we're adding in these Yeti planks here from the Viking area, and then we are adding in something to the wall here. I don't know what this kind of was. It was just an idea I thought of, and I was like, let me try and see how it looks if I kind of like adjust them a little bit up and down. It could be kind of like a wall barrier, I guess, towards the rocks here, right? And it kind of works very well when you get it all the way around and adding a little bit of foliage and stuff on it, as you can see here. So we're slowly moving towards the other side of this build here, which is the top part here. And I'm using this resort pillar, which actually works very well because it has the super nice scaling. And then I'm only aligning them up with some ropes on like every second of them, so we kind of like get a super neat. And as you can see, I'm doing the same trick again, where I am kind of like deleting the roof and only using one grid piece again, and then just turning it around so I get the perfect alignment of these pieces here. And as I say, it's a quick little tip, but it really works wonders sometimes, especially if you do not want to do things that are too tedious. We're adding in some sitting chairs here for the bar, and I kind of like this marketplace decoration. It kind of works very well as a little soft pillow. We are obviously having small benches and stuff all the way around this little bar here as well, so people will be able to sit. But for the aesthetic, I thought that it would be kind of cool to have some seating areas in front of all these things. So, and I put in a Gulpy soda thing in there. So we're going over here as well, as you can see, adding in some sunbeds, some parasols. And these parasols are not in the bench facility tab. You have to like search on them in the search bar, then you'll find them. But yeah, we will eventually add tons more of that stuff. We will eventually just have it all the way around here on the back. But first of all, I am adding in a little entrance, which is also something I completely like improvise with. I just had an idea of adding some ropes, and then all of a sudden I built an entrance. But we will go back to that just in a sec, because now we are adding in a toilet. And this toilet here was also something I felt was pretty cool, especially this piece I'm using here, the wicker planter, because I felt like using this as a little, like, it really adds to the resort kind of vibe to have like this sort of roping kind of trellis situation as the roof. And then I tried to build it a little bit more realistic in that sense, adding the toilets in the back, and then we're adding in a little facade, and we're hiding it behind this wall here. And then afterwards we're just kind of like slowly adding our own touch to this build. And again, I did not have any of this kind of like in mind. I just knew that I wanted to do a wave pool. But when you're in the groove and you kind of like build, one thing leads to another, you know, and it kind of it's a good thing. And then all of a sudden you kind of like get all these ideas and you kind of like want to build it all. And that's also why that I just can't keep on, I just can't stop when I'm first in the groove. And that's sometimes why I add so much stuff into my videos, because I have this vision that I wanted to fill it out, but I just don't know exactly how it's gonna look. I just have the idea of it in a way. And I really love how this turned out at the end, like with everything kind of like coming together. We have the restroom on the right side, we have the beach bar on the left, we have the two scenic things you saw me build on the end of the wave pool. So we're kind of like also like burying up that sort of situation of the wave pool, so no one can get to that point. They can only look. And that's also kind of like what I wanted to try out, right? And here again, I'm also just improvising with some pieces, but I feel like this kind of like gives a super nice Polynesian vibe, and also with the vibe of being a little bit of a restroom on a beach, more or less. And it works very well, and I'm super happy for how it turned out. I am skipping a little bit of the toilet build here because there's just some things that are just a little bit too tedious to look at. So that's mainly why. But yeah, adding the wicker basket here too. This is such a good piece for building if you want to build something like this, guys, if you haven't already. I love finding new pieces that I can add into my build, and especially when they add such a big difference to it. You know, it gives it that super nice realistic vibe when you're building this sort of beach resort kind of builds. And yeah, I'm just super into the color scheme too, since we're kind of like trying out different colors that kind of like mix with the rest of the park, but we also do not want to overload the park with like the same 3 colors, you know. So I'm kind of like trying to find different colors within these colors. And yeah, there was a lot of colors in one sentence, but hey, what do you know? But yeah, finishing up the toilet here, at least doing the last bits, and then we are hopping into the interior, adding in the toilet doors, and then just finishing up the last parts here. And I'm really into it, I gotta say. Like I really dig it. And yeah, it's just nice to see something a little bit different with like this sort of pieces here, because I haven't really used this door yet at all, and it might look as a changing kind of room door, and it kind of does. I do feel like that it still gives a vibe to the toilet, at least here. So but yeah, again, using the wicker piece, you can see like it really does the job here of adding like a little bit of realism. We're adding some lamps on the top, and then I am going over to the food court and stealing the little vents I do have in the top and adding that on the toilet to give it that little extra crisp in here. Adding a sign, and then afterwards just adding this up here. And then we're moving towards the beach. As you can see, I'm already placed a few things, but we are not done at all here, because now comes the entrance I was telling you guys about. And it's kind of like a super cool thing, I feel like, added and finished kind of this whole beach area off. Like, and I think it's going pretty damn well here so far, with like trying to implement as much as I can that kind of like has this sort of Polynesian fantasy Moana sort of situation vibe, and still fits in with the water park, the theme park kind of concept. And I think we're doing a pretty good job here with this. And again, using the drapes as a bunting as I used in the previous video as well. But besides that, the bunting is just gonna be like placed all the way around like this sort of little entrance area I'm doing. And then now I'm doing like a little thatch roof sort of thing. That's kind of like gonna be the big holder of the entrance. We're gonna add a sign as well, and it'll always pop up when you add signs and stuff. So yeah, it's super neat. And I also felt like the color schemes we're using here and stuff really makes it pop up and makes it more interesting, you know. And but yeah, we're just adding the last sun loungers here with some parasols, and then we'll just recolor them so they're kind of like in a nice little color scheme here along the beach. And we're adding these as well on the left side and basically filling up this entire area with them. So yeah, it's pretty damn neat when everything here is filled up and you can kind of see the whole full overview of the wave pool and beach area here. But yeah, we're calling this Moana Beach, as I said, and we're just having like a little welcome to sign on the top there. And then afterwards we are duplicating it onto the right side as well, and we're taking this sign and adding it to the bar and calling it the Moana Beach Bar as well. And it's really adds to the aesthetic and to the whole finesse and everything of the whole area here, I feel like. And I really love this build. I might make this a blueprint to the workshop, guys. So if you're interested in having this onto the workshop, let me know in the comments down below. And also if there's anything else that you've seen me build so far in this video, just let me know. But yeah, we are moving over to another little fun thing that I thought was kind of fun. And since we're getting the update now, we're gonna get some custom billboards and custom audio and stuff, I feel like it would be fun to kind of like try to do a little speaker skin here. I've not done that, I think, ever before, even in Planet Coaster 1. So I was kind of like trying to integrate some pieces and stuff into this speaker stand here, and I gotta say, with what I came up with, kind of surprised me quite well. And I was like, okay, this is actually not a bad idea at all. And I am obviously gonna add some music to the whole park when we're done, and I can kind of like duplicate these speakers here because it really works well. I used this little marketplace decoration to cover up the speaker and kind of like get it in there, and it actually works. I did not expect it to do, but as you can see, it kind of does. And after that, I just kind of duplicate these speakers and place them a little bit around the beach area for now. And I will probably eventually add a custom song that's gonna run into this park just to get something, or maybe just some Planet Coaster in-game songs. But at the end here, we're doing a quick little thing. I felt like we needed some life vest situation here, so I'm basically just doing that right now. But guys, if you liked the video, let me know what you think, and subscribe for more. And yeah, hope to see you in my next Moana video. Take care, everyone. Bye bye.